Penfill, and I work at the Center for the Health Professions as a leadership coach, and I help people with their leadership development. And I also work part-time as a psychotherapist, seeing individuals and couples. Today I'm going to be talking about SMART goals. You can use your project for professional and personal development, and the best way to do that is when you pick a project, pick something that is going to require you to practice some of the skills that you want to get better at. Think in advance about what you might have to do during that project, and look for opportunities where you'll be able to practice something that you want to get better at. SMART goals is an acronym. S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for achievable, R is for relevant, and T is for timely or time-bound. So this is an acronym to keep in mind when you're setting goals or objectives. So every time you set a goal or an objective, you can think about that acronym and go through each of the letters and make sure that your goal or objective meets each of those. So S, specific, you want to pick something really clear and concrete, not something like, well, I'll just delegate more, but I'll delegate this particular project to this particular person, something really specific. That makes the M for measurable a lot easier. So the more specific the goal is, the easier it's going to be to measure it. If it's vague, it's really going to be hard to tell if you've done what you set out to do. A is for achievable, so you want to pick something that you actually think that you can do. And this is a little tricky because sometimes we need to do things that we don't know if they're possible. But use your best judgment to decide if it's something that you think is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but it's still doable, it's still possible. You want to set yourself up basically for success as much as you can. R is for relevant, so pick a goal or an objective that really matters, something that's relevant to what you're doing in your work right now. You don't want to pick something that doesn't really matter to you, because then you're not going to really have an opportunity to practice it, you're not going to be really excited about it, it's not going to really make a difference, and you'll probably start to just sort of put it off and not get it done. For T, timely or time-bound, as you think about your goal, you want to set it specifically so that it has a timeline to it. So if you're picking something, how often are you going to do this particular objective, and for how long are you going to do it? So frequency and duration. So you have a sense of how long this is going to go on for, and you know when you're going to measure it. So if you're doing something for a month, then at the end of the month, then you can check in and see if you've attained it, and you can measure it. There are two really important reasons why SMART goals or objectives are important with change initiatives. One is so that you know what you're doing. If you're aiming for a goal, if the more you can break that down again into these specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound objectives, the more you can track your progress, the more on track you're going to be, you know what you're doing each day. The second reason is for communication. So if you know what your SMART goal is, you can really clearly communicate that to somebody else, or you might build a SMART goal with somebody else, or they might tell you what their goal is. So it's a way to also bring people together and be working together toward the same goal. Once you've chosen your SMART goal or objective and you've started the process of engaging in it, it's a good idea to, on a regular basis, build in time to reflect on the SMART goal. So look again at what you wrote down as your SMART objective or goal, and every few days or every week or however often, based on what the goal is, what the frequency seems appropriate, check back, make sure, is it still relevant? Or is it still specific? Are you able to measure it? Does it still seem attainable? So you can use that acronym at the beginning when you're writing or setting the objective, but it's also something you can use throughout the process to make sure. Sometimes you might find that it's no longer relevant, so then you might abandon that particular objective or goal and set a new one. So it's not something that needs to stay static. It's something that you can go back to regularly, make sure you're on the right path, and if not, you rewrite it or reset it. If you've never used or set SMART goals or objectives, and you want to know how you're going to be successful at it, a SMART goal or objective is actually built in to know whether or not you're successful. Because if you set it and you set your goal specifically and it's measurable, then you can go back and check to make sure that you're actually on track with it. If you do look back at your SMART goal and you realize that you can't tell if you're on track, then that might mean that the goal isn't specific enough, or that you haven't figured out how to measure it. So if you're not able to tell if you're successful, that's actually a good sign that one of those 5, or maybe more than one of those 5 letters of the acronym is off. So go back, figure out which one it is, and just rewrite it to match what you need to do. Once you've achieved your SMART goal or objective, the first thing to do is to celebrate. This is an achievement. You've actually done what you set out to do. And I say that sort of cheeky in a way, but it's honestly something that people forget to do a lot in business and in organizations. And it's important. It's important not just for yourself, it's important for others around you, so that people know that they feel appreciated, that they feel successful. If you're appreciating yourself, then you're more likely to appreciate others. If they see you celebrating yourself, they'll appreciate themselves more. So it's not just for you, it's really for everybody else around you. So it's the number one thing is to celebrate. The second is to think about what your next SMART goal or objective is. So you can think about what you've already done and what the next step might be, and start the process over again. When you go to set your next SMART goal or objective, reflect on the last one. Think about what worked about it, what didn't work about it, whether you were successful at meeting your last one or not. You can learn something from it. So if you go back and you look at your previous one and you think, well, that didn't work, well, why didn't it work? Well, it was too big, or it was too vague, or I couldn't really measure it. Take that into your next goal and use that information to set your second one. As an example of a SMART goal, I've worked with clients who have said that they want to make more of an impact, that they, as a change leader or as a leader in general, they want to go into meetings and have more of an impact. And some of them have identified that part of the problem is it's hard for them to even talk in the meeting. They're shy, or they feel awkward, or they're not used to talking to people at much higher levels than they are in the hierarchy of their organization. But something keeps them from really speaking out, even though they have really good ideas to share. So a specific SMART way to do that, thinking about a SMART goal, is to think, okay, what could I practice on a regular basis where I would get more comfortable speaking out in meetings? A SMART objective that they could set for themselves to practice this is that they'll be one of the first 3 people to speak in 3 meetings that they go to a week. So that's specific. I'm going to speak and be the first at least one of the first 3 people to speak in the meeting that I go to. And it's measurable at the end of the week. Did I speak in 3 meetings, and was I one of the first 3 people? Is it attainable or achievable? Well, it's a little bit of a push for me, but yeah, I can do that. I know I can speak. It's going to be hard for me, but I'm going to be able to do it. Is it relevant? It's really relevant, because I need to be making more of an impact. I need to be sharing my expertise. I need to be showing people that I have something to offer. I need to be contributing to the team. It's very relevant. And time-bound is 3 times a week, and let's say I'll do it for a month. So at the end of each week you can check in, and then at the end of the month you can check in and see, how did that go? Was I able to do it? How did it help me? What could I be doing next? Hopefully this information about SMART goals seems relevant and interesting to you, and I really encourage you to just give it a try. Just set one SMART goal or objective after you've finished watching this video, and just see what happens. Check back on it regularly, make sure that you're on the right path with it, and just see how this process goes for you. And you can tweak it as you need to meet what works for you, but really encourage you to just give it a try. And if the first SMART goal doesn't go perfectly, give it another try. Try again, and just see how it can help you stay on track and really move forward on your own and with other people.